So today's webinar marks the relaunch of the eLTER Marketplace following a user survey conducted in March earlier this year. And the eLTER Marketplace connects the eLTER cyber infrastructure, future eLTER services, and data mobilization. The aim of the data mobilization is to support and connect researchers seeking data and eLTER sites and platform coordinators who are managing long-term observation data from their respective sites. And like I said earlier, today's presenters are first Nina Hoppan, who will give us an introduction to the eLTER Marketplace. She is a liaison and communications officer in the eLTER head office, and also contributing to the development of the eLTER service portfolio. Nina has led the revision and the revamp of the eLTER Marketplace in collaboration with Ulf Malas, the lead in the eLTER service portfolio development. And she will remain involved in the eLTER Marketplace in a communication and outreach capacity. And today's second presenter is Holger Filvok. Holger is a coordinator. Yeah, please wave. Holger is the coordinator and data manager for SITES, which stands for the Swedish Infrastructure for Ecosystem Sciences. And he's the task lead for the eLTER data mobilization. He will be responsible for the upcoming data call, which is scheduled for November this year, so pretty soon. And the aim is to coordinate the communication between the SPCs and the system developer team to make legacy data flow from eLTER partners towards the future eLTER data repository possible.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So. And I think those were all of the introductions that I've prepared, and I think I can actually give the word to Nina, and I'll stop sharing my presentation.
Right. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for the nice introduction, Teresa. And I'm thrilled to be here and have such a nice big audience. Teresa already mentioned very shortly that we've revamped the marketplace, and today is the day that we unveil the masterpiece and show you what we've made of it. But to take a step back, a very quick introduction to this really unique thing. The eLTER Marketplace is a central hub for the eLTER research community that may be looking for data or possibly sites and platforms if they want to contribute to specific projects to support pan-European or habitat-specific research, but also for site and platform coordinators who have data or access to site and platforms to offer. And the idea behind this marketplace is really to optimize the connection between the data providers and the research community, and therefore to serve eLTER's overall aim to enable and promote pan-European and/or habitat-specific research, to start new research collaborations, and to contribute to national and European research projects. As I said before, it's a really unique initiative. The idea behind the marketplace was actually an outcome of earlier SPF meetings that felt that exactly this is missing. And to our knowledge, this is a really unique service in the RI community. So we're really thrilled to have it. And you've seen on the right-hand side, if you've been around eLTER for a while and have maybe already seen the marketplace, you've seen what it used to look like on the wiki. But they led a bit of an isolated, lonely life and wasn't very much used. And so one of the ideas that drove the revamp of this marketplace is really that it's a really amazing platform. It needs to be invigorated, and part of that is to make it more user-friendly and to also just promote it and make it more visible. So we conducted a survey of site and platforms coordinator in March, and I've just posted here a little bit of the feedback that we received. There was a lot of questions, and the key messages for us were really that too few people know about the marketplace, know where it is. It's not easily findable, and also it's something that you need to keep checking repeatedly to figure out what's going on. So isn't there an opportunity to create a website, a mail sign up? And so this is what we have done. This is now the new marketplace. You can see the web address there at the top. It's now integrated into the eLTER marketplace. And before I take you there and walk you through the website, I just want to show you where you can find the marketplace. It's very prominently located right now under services. And in addition, we're currently promoting it through this blue button. If you go to the eLTER website, you'll notice that the button changes content every couple of seconds. And so right now it is promoting the science conference, but also the marketplace. So if you're looking for the marketplace, just wait for the button to change content, and then it'll take you there. I'm going to go there with you now and walk you through this new website and all its features. So here at the top, we have a short introduction to the marketplace, immediately followed by what is, without any doubt, the most interesting feature, the most important feature of this marketplace, which is the email sign up. So this is for you right now. I'm hoping you're all clicking on this and actually entering your name and your email address to subscribe to updates from the marketplace. This will generate an automated email every time there's a new call for data or for projects on the marketplace, in case there are any changes to calls, for example, deadline extensions, as well as reminders about approaching deadlines. So signing up here is a really valuable tool here for you to just stay up to date on the marketplace. And of course, in every email, there's an unsubscribe link. So if you feel that you're getting too many or unwelcome emails, you can also undo this. We've also summarized some key information for site and platform coordinators, researchers with data requests, and then added a new feature here that records the outcome of past calls. The information for site and platform coordinators consists of a Q&A here at the bottom that explains a little bit about the why, the how, and the what. It talks about how to provide data. It talks a bit about the rewards, and this is something that I'll go into again in a bit more detail in a moment, and about the new calls and project contributions that are advertised and communicated here. So the marketplace is one of the places where you'll hear about new calls for project contributions, such as data or perhaps site access or expertise. As well, we're going to promote these new calls also through our eLTER newsletter and the social media. Then the information for researchers with data requests, similarly organized as a Q&A. It explains a little bit what kinds of data has in the first place. It explains the process of submitting data requests or offers. Here, an important piece of information is a form that researchers that are requesting data or project contributions need to fill in. This is a very simple template that essentially just outlines what sort of information you need, both about your research project, your funding, what sort of data you need, whether you're interested in specific habitats, what your deadline is, and then importantly, also the incentives that are provided for the data providers. And we've responded to the feedback from our survey here and included a lot more than co-authorship. Co-authorship was definitely the reward that interested most people, but there's a variety of other things, of course, funding, that were also of interest, such as invitation to events related to the call, co-authorship for the people that were involved in data collection, and others. All right.
Now.
Okay, so thank you so much, Teresa. Okay. Here's the template again. It is available for download at the bottom of the eLTER website. It's a simple Word document that shows, that asks you to fill in short texts that help us to better understand what sort of information you require from your data call, for example, whether you're interested in specific habitats, what the deadline is, which rewards you're willing to offer, and then descriptions of the actual data, very detailed information about what exactly it is that you need in a specific data format, etc. The form also asks the data requesters to provide their contact information, and that will be posted then on the marketplace so that there's a direct contact link between the data requesters and the other users of the marketplace. Now, let me find my way back to marketplace. Give me a second. Yes, there we go. All right. What we have also started is we've started a collection of the outcomes of past calls. And of course, there's always a significant time lag between a data call and then the papers that result from it. Nonetheless, there's already a paper by Franziska Taubert and colleagues from the BioDT project that was recently published. And this is also a request to you that if you're involved in any of the data calls that are posted on the eLTER website, or you realize that there's a paper that is related to a data call, to just write us a quick email here to office@elter-ri.eu and to let us know. When we look at the data calls, these are exactly the same data calls that were already in the wiki. We've introduced a general search field where you can enter keywords. You can also filter here by relevant habitats. And you can filter by deadline. This is a filter that is currently not functional because all the calls that are currently on this website are expired, but it will become functional as soon as we have the next call available, and that will most likely be the call that Holger is going to introduce now. The calls themselves are both project calls. This is something that we started introducing a couple of months ago. To post calls from other projects that are calling, for example, from data, site access, or expertise that is present in the eLTER community, and to offer this to the site and platform coordinators in case they want to engage with this. There are also the data calls from the past that are still here on the website. And you can see that for each data call, there's the information on the title of the call, who is doing this work, the relevant habitats, information on the requested data and site. There is a deadline function here, as well as an incentive that is offered. And so I'm going to use this to explain what happens if you have now found a call that you want to contribute to. You click on Submit Your Data here at the bottom. And Teresa, I'm just checking, are you now seeing the wiki? Yes. Okay, so that works. Great. That takes you to the eLTER wiki that has very detailed explanations about how to provide data. The way to provide data here depends on whether your data is already published and has a DOI. Then there is a workflow that is outlined here. If your data is not published, there is a workflow here, including a template for the preparation of your data set and instructions for uploading the data to the B2Share repository. This includes a cross-check to make sure that your data is correct, and then the data gets sent to the issue of the data request. There are several opportunities here to ask for help and to get further guidance. Here in the frequently asked questions, if you have issues with submitting data or preparing data, you can always contact us at office@elter-ri.eu. And I'm also going to just give you a bit of a glimpse of the future. Holger will go into more detail of this, but what we're going to do with this upcoming data call is we're actually going to provide technical support on demand for specific topics that you or your colleagues may be struggling with or uncertain about when mobilizing your data, to make sure that this is not a stumbling block in actually mobilizing your data. Going back to the marketplace and just having a quick look here at a project call. This project call is linked to the website from which the call has originated. And under background information, you can also get more information exactly about what is associated with this call. Because it is closed, there isn't very much information right now, but essentially all this information is here. And this is also the reason why we're making data requesters fill in this Word document, to make sure that all the information is available right from the start and there aren't too many questions and feedback loop. Last but not least, we have started collecting frequently asked questions about the who and the if and the what. So the responsibilities and the procedures should be quite straightforwardly outlined. However, there's always the option to ask questions and provide feedback if there's any uncertainties. So this is the new marketplace. And in terms of next steps, I'm going to use this as a bridge to then hand over to Holger. Following all the survey, the revisions and revamping, there's a number of ongoing processes. Today marks the actual launch of the marketplace, so it's now out there for you to use as a resource. Ongoing processes are the communication about this marketplace. You may have seen a number of posts on X and other social media. Our comms team is also currently preparing a flyer that we can use. You can use at conferences to just share this information, because essentially this is not restricted to the eLTER community. Anybody who is interested in data could use this platform. And there's the preparations for the Data Mobilisation Week, but that's something that Holger can tell you much more about. I'm going to end here. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, I'd be happy to hear it. And also just a reminder that this is really something for you, by you, through us, for you. So if you come across any project calls that you think should be posted here, or you have data calls yourself for ongoing research projects, please don't hesitate to get in touch and to use the marketplace, because the more people use it, the more people know it, and the better it gets. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Nina. Holger?
I can't find the raised hand reaction right now,
Function.
but I do have a question. Is it okay? Can I go first? And thanks, Nina. Who receives the feedback welcome, actually? Where's this going to? In the FAQ?
If you click on the feedback button, you mean? It comes out in the eLTER head office.
Head office. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Nina. I think then I can hand over to Holger. Can you share your own presentation, or do you want me to share? Okay, perfect. And then later, and after your presentation, Holger will have much more time for more questions if there are any. So yeah. Also to Nina.
I'm planning to share the screen, so I hope you see the marketplace right now. Yes?
Yeah.
Good. Okie dokie. Is it in presentation mode, full screen?
Yes.
Super. Okay, I will run you a little bit through the data call and a little bit about the Data Mobilisation Week that we are planning at the beginning of next year. That's basically the way for you, the SPCs, the Sites and Platform Forum, the coordinators, to mobilize your legacy data. We have teased the idea already in Bulgaria and Sofia and the whole planning, but now we will provide you with a little bit more details. I hope that some of my colleagues that are actually part of the team are in the meeting as well. I think I saw Alan somewhere, but I will introduce the whole team that's behind this in a slide in this deck as well. I'm only the one who presents, but there's a lot of people actually involved in setting this up in a way that will really support the SPCs in a good way. So a little bit about the purpose of the data call. First and foremost, it's really basically from eLTER centrally to support you with expertise on data mobilization tasks, making your data openly available, but also some financial incentive and support, basically to provide data from your platform to a future data repository. But also what is actually from me as a data manager, thanks by the way, Teresa, for introducing myself on a national platform, which is very valuable, is that we work on data and data templates, metadata templates. We work on standardized semantics to support data managers. So this is really also something where people that work on their own repositories can really benefit from the work that's actually ongoing through this data call and the data mobilization. That will happen centrally in a European project. And of course, for eLTER, it's very critical to identify a little bit what support is actually needed across the SPCs in terms of data mobilization tasks. So there can be various degrees of basically data readiness, I would call it. And for us, it's really interesting to know how much we actually have to support different data providers. And for sort of the link between the different work packages in eLTER is very essential, of course, to test the workflows and to establish good workflows from the source to basically the final repository and to make data openly available in a sort of open format, fair format. And for our system developers that, as you all know, have actually changed from UKCH to Mooney and Tom Rayborg as the main leader, it's very important to actually develop the system according to the requirements from the data providers. And as I mentioned already, within the research infrastructure, it links various work packages, and that's important to basically help to link them closer and establish workflows. So we have basically the system developers involved, UFZ in Leipzig, as well as also Mooney people in the Czech Republic, responsible for the cyber infrastructure. Then we have the metadata and semantics group, where Alessandro is very much involved, but also Ellen and myself to some extent. We have the standard observation team. Teresa's here. I don't think James is in the meeting right now, right? But the standard observation protocol team that really works on standardization, which guides our data call and the content for it, but also, of course, all of you present here, the SPCs, and basically the Sites and Platform Forum. And probably many more. This is kind of the list that I came up with. Why are we doing this? But there's really like a lot of important components on here, but there's like, it goes beyond what I've stated now, probably. A little bit about the core team. If you are here in the meeting, maybe you can just switch on your camera. I see Alan has it on, but I don't know if the others are here. Anyhow, I will walk you through it. Martin Abraham, he sits in Leipzig. You have said he is basically coordinating all the system development end of things. So he is in close contact with myself and also Alan. Johannes Petersaal, he is at EA in Vienna. I call him the man for everything because he has been in this from the start. He knows all the ins and outs about what has happened with eLTER and the data management component. So he's a very important person. Then Alan Sousa, he's here. Wave your hand. Hello. He's very much involved in establishing a robust metadata structure that is basically something guiding all the different data coming from all the spheres within eLTER. Then we have Alessandro. He is at CNR in Italy. I don't know if you are here. If you're here, switch on your camera. He is very much involved in the semantics work and establishing control vocabularies for all the different spheres and basically all the data types we want to mobilize. And myself have sort of the responsibility for data mobilization. So my main aim is to connect you, the data providers or the SPCs, with the system developers, but also, of course, have this team involved to help to connect all the different components within the infrastructure. So now a little bit more in depth about what actually the data call will target. Teresa and Pauline, or no, it's actually a question to you, Teresa. I realized I put the links in here, and I'm not 100% sure if everyone is supposed to have access to the protocols or not. But
The ones that are in review and the links that are available here are available for the whole SPF community. So
Okay, that's great.
it's
Good.
not a
I should have
problem.
asked the question before,
Also,
but I
I
just
don't
came
think
to realize, but
you can click these links anyway, so I don't think anybody can.
the presentation will be available, so
Sure.
they can go into it, and maybe we can send out some information with some feedback after this meeting. But anyhow, this information will be, I will touch upon this in a minute from now, will be provided on the marketplace as well. But I want to give you a first tease, of course, as well on what data is actually targeted within the data call. And we try, the sociosphere is not on here, but I'm in contact with the leads of the sociosphere, and I got some input. This is more retrieval-based data, so this is really not something where we expect much to come from the SPCs, but these are really the data types that are very relevant for this group of people in this meeting here now. So there's basically, I would say it's mainly 5, maybe +1. This is the chlorophyll A as one of the part of the biosphere component, but the main ones we are targeting is the soil inventory and characteristics, together actually with the soil water content and temperature from the hydrological part. This is something where Johannes is currently, together with Thomas Stierenberg, working on the details of the data templates. Then we have vegetation composition, where James is very much involved, and also Wolfgang Dean on an expert group. The chlorophyll A is something that Alessandro is sort of our expert. He will work on a data template and sort of the more detailed parts for the data call as well. And then meteorological data, Ellen and myself will work on this in the very near future on data templates. But then also the characteristics for standing water, physical and chemical characteristics, where I will take the main lead also with some support from the experts working on these protocols. So as you see, these are data types that are linked to specific standard observation protocols that are currently established. But we also, of course, target legacy data, so all the data that's not directly linked to the standard observations, so to say. So when we look, for example, at the vegetation composition, a very controversial data type, so to say, to mobilize, we expect within the data call, I will talk a little bit more about the details there as well in a minute, we will expect from the data providers to also give us information on the metadata, so how the different vegetation compositions have been, the methods that have been used basically, or the size of the investigated area and so on, which we consider as additional information to the actual data being provided. So we won't expect a very standardized way this data is provided within this data call, but this actually on the other way will also help us to work on establishing maybe robust protocols into the future. So it goes both ways a little bit. So we have standard observation protocols that are established through the infrastructure, and that should guide the way into the future, but also the data mobilization and the data call should help us to make this a robust protocol for the future. So we are very curious to see what comes out of this data mobilization specifically. But yeah, so all these data that are targeted now will have different data templates that we will provide to the community on the marketplace. But this is more like a tease for you now. All the details will come through the website, the eLTER website, to prepare yourself. This is something we will ask for. So now I will talk a little bit about the rough guidelines. The guidelines are currently in the works. Myself is responsible for drafting them. I will run them by head office, and then we will publish them on the marketplace as well. But to give you some information on what will actually be provided and what is part of the guidelines, this is basically the first rough outline for you to get an idea. So all the information of this data call, which is actually planned to be launched at the beginning of November, will be on the marketplace that Nina just presented. We will have hopefully a technical and more general FAQ integrated in the existing one. So we will have probably 2 teams working on that in parallel. We have basically Tom Rehborg and Martin being responsible more for the technical questions, but also then the more general questions where probably myself and maybe partly the head office can help really to channel and sort of maintain more the general questions about, I don't know, general functionalities, maybe some data questions or some website related questions that will be integrated there. Then we will have the data templates per data type that I just presented. So we will probably have 6 data templates available for you. for the specific targeted data. And by the way, the data ingestion itself will be file-based for the data we will request. So you can use the templates that we will provide and can use several formats, either whatever is most convenient for you, a CSV format, an Excel format, and provide this data then in sort of the templates we will provide to you. Then we will have a form that clearly identifies the metadata that's required for the individual data templates, and also general guidelines for the submission. So basically the license agreement that we expect, sort of the timeline, when we expect this data to be mobilized, and also the whole submission process, etc. And with that, of course, also an expression of interest form that every one of you that wants to provide data can fill in and make a statement of, I have these many years of data coverage for this specific data type, so we can actually use this for the validation of the next steps that I actually want to talk about, the base for decision making when it comes to the further process down the line, because there is actually, as I already mentioned on my first slide, a financial incentive as well. So there is actually a pot of around 430,000 euros that is available for data mobilization for all the Plus partners in eLTER. And we want to, of course, distribute this money fairly across the project and the project partners to support the work on metadata, on sort of aligning data that you're sitting on with the templates, and basically have some financial support for all the data related and data mobilization related work as well. What is also like base for this decision-making process is that you, of course, are willing to share your data openly. So you will need to approve a CC BY license that we will provide through eLTER. Basically, also the number of parameters, if you like, are willing, or are you sitting on parameters that are part of all the data types, or is it only a share of the data that we are asking for that will be flowing into sort of the decision-making process, and how the money will be distributed. And of course, what is very important for eLTER, being an international infrastructure and broadly distributed across Europe, is also basically filling critical gaps. Do we really cover nicely within this data call Europe as a whole? The data readiness, of course. I mean, if you make already now a statement in a data call that it will take you years to mobilize this data, you might be ranked a little bit lower than people that feel like, okay, we can probably make something flowing towards an eLTER repository in the next year. And then, of course, also the person month rates and GDP per country is something that needs to be considered, obviously, to make it a fair distribution of the money. Yes, I'm actually also linking into the nice timeline that Nina provided already in her slide deck. So right now we are in September. We are marking the 25th, the SPF meeting, the relaunch of the marketplace. But of course, I also want to give you a little bit an outlook when it comes to the data mobilization and also the data call. So the launch of the eLTER data call on the marketplace, so on eLTER's website, is planned right now for the beginning of November. There you will find then all the details, an FAQ, where you can also, of course, add new feedback and add new questions to the FAQ, and also the data templates and all the details that you need for working towards data mobilization tasks. The final evaluation for the expressions of interest we will receive from the SPCs is expected in December this year. And then we are going into probably, let's say, the second week of January, because there's Christmas in between, there's New Year, so probably not many people in office. But from the second week of January onwards, we'll really aim to start with the mobilization of data. So there is a data mobilization week planned where we dedicate basically a full week of especially my availability, where you can book time slots and I can meet with you. And we can go through the templates, we can go through the data you're sitting on, and we can discuss details on metadata, on the methods, on instruments, etc. So this is really an opportunity for you to sit together with myself. And also I talked about my A team that I have sort of around me, that we can bring in people that are more like experts on the system development or experts on semantics, that we can also zoom into our meeting. And then, of course, this whole task isn't over until the end of next year. So this is basically a continuation. Individual meetings can always be set up with some of you that request additional feedback or more input for certain data mobilization tasks. So this is really a task that I will be responsible for the rest of the funding period of eLTER Plus, actually. But as we know, financial reporting has to be done until a certain time. We expect that most of the work is done until the 31st of October 2025. Yes, maybe just last slide now. Am I running late, Teresa? I don't have a... No, I think I'm fine.
You're fine.
So a little bit data mobilization week and beyond. As I mentioned already, the time for this specific week where you can book time slots, virtual meetings with myself and maybe some additional people in the background that are also willing to contribute, is basically week 3, 13th to 17th of January 2025. This is really where we target specific questions coming from the data call. And this is basically an open time slot to book virtual meetings with, we call it the SLU help desk, which is basically myself. And there we can support you, what I mentioned already, data formatting, metadata. The FAQ is also available for more technical questions, hopefully until then on the website. And yeah, it's really also, if you're already at that point very ready with your data, an opportunity to actually use the data ingestion tool together, and I can walk you through the way of how to upload data on the data portal. By the way, for the data call, it's an in-house solution that's worked on right now, so we will probably not use B2Share. Ulf, maybe that's news that I'm breaking to you as well, but it will be an in-house solution. So it will be hopefully a relatively easy way to plug and play, drag and drop your files into a form and basically upload them on a file-based repository. Yes, and then as I said, throughout 2025, there's the SLU help desk, and myself being the SLU help desk available for continuing to work with all of you. I think that's my last slide, yeah. So are there any questions? I guess there is probably many detailed questions that we have to dig into in the near future, but maybe there are some general ones right now. How do I stop sharing? Zoom has changed a little bit in the... Ah, here, okay.
You find your...
Yeah.
Okay,
Never used Zoom before,
before we take the questions, I'll just quickly stop the recording.